We are approaching the end of the autumn internationals, and England and Wales both remain winless. On the menu today, we look back at the past weekend as well as previewing this one. And joining us today to do so and discuss Steve Borthwick, the Fijian backline, and his top 4 wingers in the world, is legendary winger Nemani Nadolo. Right, we do have an impending Nemani Nadolo on the way. I thought it would be good to actually get a head start and talk about England and Wales. If you're English or Welsh, you're probably trying to find traces of Southern Hemisphere or even French lineage at this point. Both teams are winless this autumn. Question marks, clouds, etc. Oh, speaking of, here is Nemani Nadolo. Question marks hang over the head. Hey, Nemani, how you doing?
Hey guys, sorry I'm a bit late. I was just trying to sort out this stuff, this bloody new thing. What's called StreamYard. I'm used to Zoom and whatnot.
Join us in that as well.
We're still trying to figure it out, to be honest.
Yeah, right.
How are you? I was mid-intro, but how are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Yeah, over here down in Melbourne, and yeah, just in the swing of things and in life after rugby, and yeah, it's good. It's good. Just in the office more so now, for myself in meetings more so than on the rugby field.
I mean, I was going to say, you obviously retired with the Tars and then stayed out in Oz. Were there ever thoughts to move back or anything like that?
Oh, look, there was, but I've got a young family now, and obviously being from Australia, you know, life for us was here. So, you know, it's good to be back. It's been 15, 16 odd years, really. I've played all my rugby on that side of the world. And, but yeah, I guess it's good to finally be a fan or a spectator and a pundit, I guess, at times, or try to be. But no, it's good. It's good. It's good.
Well, you're in a part of the world. All your associations are on an upward curve.
Yeah, I know. They who would have thought? Bloody hell! Let's face it. We probably didn't have hopes for the Wallabies to do well, and they've just come over and killed it. Fiji got a win over Wales. You know, obviously we all know Wales is struggling at the moment, but still, you know, you don't lose to those sort of. It's hard to win over there, and then obviously the English. Who's English in here? I'll tell you what, Jesus, they're struggling a bit.
Most of us.
Well, no, none of us are English anymore.
Yeah. So
I'm from the West Country. That's a nationality all of its own. So
yeah.
You know enough about Exeter to know that it's a bit different down in these parts.
Yeah, it's crazy, and to think like that, like who would have thought England 0-3, and I think it's one of those. This is one of those Northern tours where I think we're probably surprised, and I think it's a bit more competitive. You know, England I thought would have done well, being falling short of New Zealand a few times. South Africa, we know their dominance throughout the whole year. Ireland was probably a little bit surprised, but I know that they changed some personnel, so that was a bit different. But you know, it's made it a very competitive autumn tour, I think, and you know, it sucks because it makes us have to get up now at 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning
because there's actually something to watch.
Yeah, like usually when you know the team over here is going to maybe not win, you're like, oh, I'll just watch the replay in the morning, sort of thing. But Jesus, all of he's getting up, Fiji's getting up, so I'm bloody hungover by the time work. And some of these guys are playing Monday at 3 in the morning, so you can imagine we've got work and it's Sunday over there, so. You know.
So you'd like us all to play better so you can get some sleep? Is that what you're on?
Well, that's what I'm used to, really, isn't it? Come on. But look, fair play. It's been enjoyable. It's probably the first time since I've been over this side that I've actually stayed up and watched the northern, the northern tours. I think, like I said, it's been very competitive and it's been pretty cool to watch.
Yeah.
Even the lower teams as well, you know, you see like Georgia nearly tipping over Italy and Spain leading Fiji. Jesus,
yeah.
You know, I thought it was going to be the World Cup again all over again. So, but it was good. No, it's been good. It's been good, guys. It's been awesome.
Yeah, it's been so much to talk about. We've struggled to fit it in every single week. Let's put some Northern Hemisphere perspective on it. Wales have lost 11 in a row. England now 5 in a row. So maybe not quite so crisis mode. 6 out of their last 7, all from winnable positions as well. England are 8th in the world rankings. Fiji are 9th. Wales are 11th. I was going to say this must be as close as Fiji have ever been to England, ranking wise.
Yeah, 100%.
And you guys will feel like you have a chance this weekend. We'll obviously get to that, but Australia and Georgia are breathing down England's neck and Wales' neck, respectively. Let's talk about England first. Nemani, did you get up for England, South Africa, or have you just watched it back?
I watched the first half, and then I fell asleep. But in saying that, I just like. I just have this. Marcus Smith's been playing some awesome rugby, right?
Yeah.
I just don't get the idea around bringing him off when he's probably sparking things up. And I just think I can understand the defense system that they're trying to go for. Like they did that at Leicester when I was there, and maybe it worked for us, I think. But I just think you can't do it at that level because the defense line, their defense is sort of rush defense, right, to come up. And I get that you can do that once or twice, right? But then after a while, that's when you sort of guys get out of sync. Like, you've got to be actually pretty fit to be doing that over and over and over again. I think maybe at club level you can do that, and we got away with it at Leicester. But yeah, I just think against better teams like New Zealand and like Australia, you're gonna get exposed, and they kept doing that, and they're just letting in. It's actually backfired, I feel, and the points that are getting scored, 40 points, the week before, and then South Africa. Look, I thought they played well against South Africa, but I just feel that something is missing in that England team, and I don't think they're a crisis. I really don't think. I know a lot of people saying Steve should go, but yeah, it doesn't look good, but I just don't. There's just something missing there because I just feel they're all playing well. The English are playing really well. It's just they're not closing off, the last sort of 10, 15 minutes. Maybe a bit of a mind lapse sort of thing. But yeah, it's hard to put a finger on it. But still enjoyable to watch though. Being a neutral, I guess. But yeah,
it's the 60 to 80, isn't it? Really. You look at our bench, for example. I think Nick Ezekwe, Alex Donbrandt came on for Sam Underhill. Sam Underhill was playing his socks off. We said he'd get up for it, having been out the team for as long as he was. He was probably England's best player, apart from Marcus Smith, maybe. Dan Cole, a fairly inconsequential sub to bring on. George Ford has obviously been inconsequential over the course of the autumn. I think that injection just isn't there at the moment, and you've got to question Steve. Steve Abbey's another debate, but tactically, I think he's got it completely wrong this autumn. And the 2 changes he chose to make as well, Jack Van Portfleet coming in and Freddie Stewart coming in, also didn't pay off. They were downgrades on. Certainly Ben Spencer's box kicking is better than Jack's.
Yeah, no, and that's true. I just think also too with reserves that come on. We've seen it. With the South Africa and New Zealand, and when you're coming on, you've got to make an impact, or you've got to close out the game, right? I think impact, that's what they call them, the impact or the finishes. And you're right. I just feel that England haven't done that well when they've come on, particularly in the first 2 test matches where Marcus Smith and, like you said, Underhill playing their socks off, like electrifying and things like that, where maybe I think they were trying to conserve the lead. Sometimes when you bring the bench on and there's 2 ways. It's either you're there to protect the lead or you're there to, fight fire with fire. And I just feel that at times they've sort of brought these guys on to protect that lead. And again, you could probably get away with that down in clubland and protect the lead. But I just think at that level, like if you're on fire, you're on fire. And, like we saw that. I mean, I've just got to go back to, again, Underhill. He came on. He was playing, and everyone in England was saying, why did he come off? And then, so I just feel there's 2 types of sort of subs that come on that either can protect the lead or, inject that. And I just feel that they haven't done that in terms of bringing that fire impact onto the field. And it's, it sort of yeah, I don't know. I just feel that it makes them, there's no, that spark or that fire. I feel that they're bringing that spark out, in Underhill, in your Marcus Smith, or playing him in a different position, sort of thing. So, but don't get me wrong, they're all talented players. But I just feel that, like, I feel like watching. I think when they did that, was it against the All Blacks, or where they were leading and then they lost? They brought George Ford on.
Yeah,
that reminded me of my time at Leicester. Like, it was typical sort of protect the lead. We're there. We're up. I think they're up for 12 points or 13 points. And then the players like that would sort of make, an impact. Guys like us that you could probably lose the game as well if we were still playing. Like they'd bring us off and then protect the lead, sort of thing. And I think it reminded me of that that game. And then, as we all know, New Zealand, you tell them no, and they'll prove you otherwise. So, yeah, that sort of makes sense. That's my observation of how they're going.
It almost feels like England are frightened to go out and finish the job, doesn't it? Or lack the confidence. Instead of sit on the lead, protect the lead, why not go and score 2 cracking tries, get 14 points, put the game beyond doubt. But they haven't got the confidence to do that, have they?
Yeah, and they've got the firepower to do it. Why don't they do it? That's the question. Like, we've seen Marcus Smith spark things out of nothing, right? And you've got those wingers. What's his name? I want to say his name right. Like, you should be using these guys in those last 10, 15 minutes, Like, I just felt that in that last 20, 15 to 20 minutes, it's almost like, let's protect this, or let's really slow the game down. I think they've got the talent to fucking just go for it. And, like, we've seen it in patches when Marcus Smith is there and Underhill. Like, sometimes I feel they don't believe in their own sort of skill set that they can freaking go. And we've seen it before in the past.
Yeah. It's the game breaking element, isn't it? That they don't. They either don't have it, and I don't really believe that. I mean, as you said, there are some exciting players, ball in hand, who can make something out of nothing. But it's almost as though the sort of overall structure, the overall strategy, sort of militates against that somehow.
Yeah.
Because when you watch Talea play, I mean, those are tries out of nothing. And as for Chesley and Colby last weekend, I mean, geez, how good is he? I mean, you weren't a bad wing. I mean, how would you rate him? The way he's playing, it's an all-round game. I mean, extraordinary.
Nah. He'd be up there in terms of one of the best wingers in the world. For me, there's probably 2 or 3 wingers. He'll be in my top 4 for sure. Just the way he plays in attack. His footwork, and I've played him a few times in my time in France when he was at Toulouse. He can step you in a phone box. It's almost like I'd almost want a bigger guy to run straight at me, fight. Physicality-wise, I'd rather that than someone like himself, because he just makes you look silly, and he can get you dropped for the next game. That's what it is. I think I got dropped the next game after that. And fair play. It was against him. So, no, I just think he's again, we see South Africa using their 2 wingers properly, whether it's kicking in the right areas or putting them in the space and letting them do them things. Who says England can't do that? Their wingers at the moment are electrifying. I think one of them just got voted for Breakthrough Player of the Year. Use them, you know what I mean? And I just, going back to Colby, like, we've seen that. I think they used them well against England, and we saw that when they got. I just felt that Freddie was probably out of position a few times. I think, and that's where those kicking games come in. England have that talent in the back, in the back 3. They can use it. I was surprised again with you. I don't know about you guys, but with JVP and Freddie Stewart coming in. I actually didn't see the team until I didn't know that JVP was playing until I was just watching the game. I thought Ben Spencer was playing, because he's been playing well. So there's no reason why you should be dropping him. Maybe I get it, maybe for game time and whatnot, but for things like this, you want to be playing your best team. And unfortunately, England, well, teams in Europe. I guess you guys got Six Nations around the corner, so that's probably what they're looking at. But it's it was just a weird sort of selection to be selecting different halfback and then fullbacks, and I don't think any of them played well. Didn't play well. Didn't play too bad either. So,
Nemani, did you consider Steve to be a what sort of coach did you feel he was? Did you feel that he erred on the conservative or not?
No, look, Steve for me was probably one of the best coaches I had in my career, and I tell people this. I'm sort of gutted. I came to Leicester and was coached under him at the back end of my career. I mean, I came to at 33. I spent 32. Yeah, 32. Finished at 35. I was sort of the way that the way he coaches. Don't get me wrong. I think he's probably if you were to go to university and study rugby, he would be a doctorate. You get what I mean? Like just the rugby mindset. Him and George Ford and guys like that, they were there. But the way he coaches is based on the individual, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like he's really big on stats, really big on, where to play at certain times and whatnot. And at the time when I first got there, especially coming from the Southern Hemisphere, you're like, what do we kick and what do we, we kick a lot. I don't know if you probably have. When Leicester won it that year, I think we kicked the most. Right at the start of the season, I hated it, but then I realized why we kicked it. So it became a. He was big on that sort of stuff, that stat stuff. So,
what about Richard Wigglesworth? I mean, you were there presumably when he was.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the guys who are now shaping the England team. He's a relatively inexperienced coach. How did you find him?
Same thing, just really lively. Look, in attack, I think is really good. They're very. The one thing I really enjoyed about Wiggy was that he was good in identifying the in attack, like spaces of teams. So there'd be a reason why we would be quick to do a quick line out or hold the ball if we're playing bigger teams. Their rugby mind was really good in that. And like the biggest thing with them is for that I found they're northerners, right? They're from the north, so they were really hard, just hard. Like Leicester isn't. We weren't the skillfulest of teams, but he made us. We grinded hard, and obviously with Kevin Sinfield there as well. Mate, some of those training sessions, I tell you what, it made me probably put me into retirement pretty early, but it was. There's no nonsense sort of, hard training. And it was like some of those days were physical trainings. Like if the big thing, if you weren't seen as putting a good tackle or being strong at training, you heard about it. So there were just no nonsense guys. And you can imagine already it's winter down there and there was about 3 Fijians in that squad. We were the first ones in. And usually they always say, guys, you got to be the first one in, the last one out. Tell you what, come winter, we were the first ones in, the first ones out.
Nemani, can I bring you back to something you said? Ches and Colby in your top 4 wingers of the world the world at the moment. Can I ask for your top 4? Ideally in order, but I know that's difficult to do.
No. So number 1, because these are the guys I've played with and against, I guess.
Sure.
Number 1, Chris Ashton.
Wow. Okay.
A lot of people don't know. I just think he's the GOAT of try scoring. He just knows, like, watching him play again, playing with him at the end of my career, and I guess at the end of his career as well. I've always if there's one person I would have loved to play alongside was him. So he'd be number 1. Cheslin would have to be number 2 up there. Number 3, I'd have to go Josua Tuisova. So I've substituted. I've gone from speed to size, and I guess the last one would have to be
that size or thighs.
yeah. And Julian Xavier.
Nice.
They're the guys that when you had to play against these guys. I remember, and I did play against all of them. There was always that feeling of I'm playing Chris Ashton or I'm playing Josh Tuisova. Josh Tuisova and Cheslin Colby were the same. They were just like, but they were both opposites. They were just as damaging. One was, and I'm not saying I was a big guy too, but I didn't want to tackle Josh. So I can tell you now, we played a few times and there was a bit of a gentleman's agreement. So thankfully he's Fijian. So we looked after each other on the rugby field. So, but then there was a guy on the inside and he'd smash him, but then come to me and then just fall. So I think there's a clip out there somewhere about it.
It's an amazing tradition, isn't it? That whole guys from the islands or from Ireland ancestry on the wings. I remember Warren Gatland telling me that the single most talented player he ever coached was Steve Borthwick.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised.
He just said he was off the scales and never seen anything like it. But there's a whole history of those guys. Wherever they ended up playing their international rugby, it's absolutely extraordinary, given the population size and what have you. It's amazing.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny because it was funny because when we were playing in France, the French guys would always get annoyed because they're like, "Why don't you guys smash each other?" And we're like, yeah, we do, but you can see the big difference when Fijian's on Fijian and gets Fijian on French or Fijian on English. So thankfully, we didn't have to hurt it. And there was Samuel and Drandra and Bortia. So we'd always look after each other on the rugby field, thankfully. And
Who would you rather tackle between a prime Nemani Nadolo and Josua Tuisova?
I'd have to say a prime Nemani Nadolo, just because I wasn't more about the way I used to attack was I used to read the player. So it wasn't like I was bowling over you. I just knew where to get your weakness. Whereas someone like Josh Tuisova, he's just hard everywhere. He is a boulder, right? So whereas if you would go I'd know when to go down on you, I know when to go down. I know when to go high or palm you. So I was more of a thinker than Hence why I kicked. Who kicks at 135 kilos on the wing? So there you go. So it's play smart, guys, not hard.
It's a thinking man's game, isn't it? And poor little Thomas Williams is currently saying, "I'm thinking I'm not going to tackle him again." So
that's exactly right. I always tell these guys, rugby is play smart, not hard, and. I was probably on the back of. That's hence why I was always at the back when it came to fitness tests. But came game time, your boy would always try and deliver anyway. We'll try to.
In Fiji camp, is there always discussion around Tuisova's calves because they have to be the best calves in rugby? They're like pods on the back.
Mate, let me tell you a story about this. They're probably still happening now. So every time we're in Fiji, we have contact. Like defense, right? Contact, and in that back line, you got Samuel Ndrandra, Lepani Bortia, Nemani Nadolo, Kini Murivalu, Wasena the level. These guys, they could break a telephone box, regardless. So we had a defense coach come from Scotland. I forgot his name. He's pretty famous. He traveled, I forgot his name. Anyway, he was a defense coach, and he was a defense coach for Fiji in COVID, and he just come in. He had me in Montpellier, and we did a defense, and he's you got to, in his Scottish accent, boys, you've got to smash each other. Funny this. Training's finished. All right, backs, we're going to do a few tackles, and I want you guys 100%. Make sure you go 100%. And looking at each other. Yeah, mate, whatever. So Josh Tuisova, Lepani Bortia, myself, Waisnai the level, we're there in line. And the halfback was Nicola Matawalu. It was him against Josh Tuisova. And our Scottish defense coach, I've got to get his name. You'd know who
it's Duncan Hodge. Duncan Hodge.
Is it? No, it's another one. Silver hair.
Oh, interesting. No, I don't know.
I'll tell you the name.
Okay.
And anyway, he's gone in and then he's licking his lips going, he loves tackling. He's gone, Tuisova's run at Nicola Matawalu, and Josh just drops. And he's like, what? Next one. Bortia runs. He runs at another 5'8", at Ben Volavola. He drops. These are just, you touch and drop. he's come to me after the game, and he's like, after training, because he doesn't really talk to them. He talks to me because we got along, and he goes to me, he goes, Nems, I've in all my time of coaching defense, and all my time, I've never seen a team that has done this. Like, I'm worried. We're not going to be ready for the game. We're playing Georgia this weekend, mind you, in Scotland. And I was like, listen, don't worry. It's going to be fine. These boys will pull on. He's like, mate, I've never seen it. Come game time, we've put 40 on these guys. Josh Tuisova, Lepani Bortia, just nailing guys. And he's come to me and he's just gone, I will never, ever coach these guys the way I coach other teams. So there you go. So, going back to his calves, when you're benching, when you're doing calf raises on 190 or 180 kilos, there's something wrong. Like it's the size of someone's.
Are you sure his legs just on upside down?
That's what I think.
No, the quads are double the size of the calves.
Yeah,
and the calves are double the size of normal people's quads.
Get this: we're in the gym and we're sitting down watching him doing weights.
I was going to say, out of all those names, is he the strongest? You know, Graduate, Semi.
I stopped lifting weights when I was 30, and I finished at 35. So that should give you something about. I did beach weights, mate. This guy loved weights. Just they had to bring in dumbbells for him in camp one time because the dumbbells were, I think the highest we had was 40. He needed like 70 or something ridiculous because no one else is going to do it. Well, I didn't, but it's he's a freak of an athlete, and you know what? A lot of times he's always playing with an injury. Yeah, he's always got an ankle injury or something. He's just in the time that I was in the Fiji team with him, I don't think I've ever seen him at 100%.
So Sam Warburton has said one-on-one, he's the hardest person to come up against in World Rugby at the moment. And that's a 100% Tuisova as well.
No, I've seen it first with my own eyes, and wow, I tackled him, but it was gentleman's agreement, so it wasn't too bad. But yeah, he has to be. Yeah, especially when you're playing him at 12. I think he's pretty dangerous at 12. I'd rather be at this stage of his career. I'd be playing him at 12. Yeah. Wing is good, but like he just make a few runs at 12, you'd be fine. I think he's played number 8 as well. When he was at Lyon, so crazy.
He can do wherever he wants.
Mad.
Yeah, exactly right.
Absolutely mad. Nemani, let's do a quick fire question section around you and your career very quickly before we sort of get into. Well, we can discuss Wales and Oz a little bit, and then obviously a bit more in depth on Fiji Island. I want to ask you about Caleb Muntz as well. Nickname?
Nems or Tiny.
Tiny. I
think maybe because I had small ears. I
think they're normal sized ears. Everything else just makes them look.
Yeah, and I look bigger now too. So yeah.
Oh, look at that bloke's ears. He's got no chance.
Best rugby memory.
Best rugby memory was World Cup 2015. I've got a few, but I'll just say World Cup 2015 against England. The fact that I could say I played in a World Cup was, that's probably my best rugby memories. I've got a lot, but if I was to pin one.
Opening night and the try, I think. Opening night and the try.
Yeah. And running at George Ford.
And tackling Richie Wigglesworth, running over Richie Wigglesworth. So.
Yeah.
But it's nothing to be, it's nothing to be proud about. They're two small guys in the field, so I wouldn't be cheering that much.
As an Englishman there that night, I cheered when that happened. Most embarrassing rugby memory, other than running over George Ford.
Most would be. Funny you say that. Cheslin Colby, I guess, playing against Toulouse in Toulouse. There's a video circulating around when he stepped me. I think he stepped me, ran back, and then stepped me again. That's how I felt it. That's how bad I felt. So, yeah.
He'd actually scored a try in between as well.
Exactly right. So, and they beat us by 30.
Pre-game tune.
Pre-game tune. Don't have one. I'm more just shuffle, whatever comes.
Post-game meal.
Post-game meal. Well, when I was in England, living in the UK, it was kebabs because I couldn't get one. Or KFC, yeah.
Nice.
Actually, no, I lied. When I was in the UK, it was Nando's. When I was in France, it was McDonald's. But yeah, McDonald's or Nando's. I love the UK because they had Nando's and Five Guys, which is pretty cool.
Post-game, best player you've played against?
Oh, there's a lot. Oh, geez, who could I say? Yeah. First player, I think would have to say, because everyone knows him, Dupont.
Yeah. Best player you've played with?
Oh, again, a lot. I played with a lot of Springbok players and Dan Carter, Richie McCaw. Yeah, I'd have to say, you know what? I'm gonna he was a good guy, Ruan Pinard. Do you remember him?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so he's a very good player.
Favorite player right now?
Favorite player right now, I would have to say, just love watching him, Marcus Smith. So he's worth the getting up at 2 a.m. in the morning. So Marcus Smith, I think he's for me at the moment. Yeah.
That's right. You can go back to bed when they substitute him. You're all right.
Yeah. I did that against one of the games. So I should. I think it was Australia. No, did he come off against Australia?
No, he came off against New Zealand. He went to
New Zealand.
Yeah. You were like, this is over.
Yeah, I was actually dozing off. It was in my room, but let's not.
I think you could be forgiven.
Rugby
idol.
Rugby idol growing up for me was someone like being from Queensland, Brisbane, was someone like John Eales. He was a lock though, but he was a legend. Growing up, he was Queensland Reds, Wallabies. I would have to say John Eales and George Gregan, actually, two of those guys.
Nice. Have you ever been lifted in a line out?
Yes, I have been lifted in a line out in Japan, when I played in Japan, funny enough. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Why would anyone need to lift you in Japan?
Yeah, I don't know. And the guys that lifted me were actually smaller than me. So, yeah.
I played to them.
They were laying bets on it. It was a challenge.
Favorite stadium?
Favorite stadium? Look, only internationally, I'd have to say the Principality. Only because I played there more than once, and domestically, I can't go past Leicester Tigers. I've got to say, Mattioli Woods Stadium, or on a packed house, which just that atmosphere at Leicester Tigers was amazing. Yeah, for me, it'd have to be a packed out Leicester, Welford Road, as they say.
Favorite gym exercise?
Gym. Jesus. The cardio machine. Walk bike.
Not beat.
I haven't used it as much, but like I said, I stopped doing weights. So probably 4 or 5 years in my 30s when I turned 30, 31. So yeah, I'd have to say walk bike. I still got one actually. It's growing dust. I better start getting back on it. So
occupation if rugby didn't exist.
Occupation, I probably would have went to the mines. I'm from Queensland. I would have went up north and worked in the mines. So
mining what? Up in, excuse my ignorance, what do you mine in Queensland?
Well, they've got coal up here, but more the mines in Western Australia. Coal mines or iron.
Coal?
More coal, yeah. So I would have gone into that. A few of my mates did it when I was 18, and thankfully the whole rugby thing turned out well, and made a name for myself. So, but yeah, I probably would have been in the mines.
Superstitions.
Superstitions was always cutting my hair the night before the game.
Nice.
And if I never, when I mean cut, shave, when I didn't do it, I was a nervous wreck. Towards the end of my career, not so much, but you still had that. There's been times where I've played with it, without cutting my hair, and I've had a shocker.
So you're the opposite of Samson.
Hey?
You're the opposite of Samson.
Yeah, exactly.
He lost all his strength when his hair went.
I'm the one without hair. I'm the opposite effect.
Is that why you started wearing a scrum cap towards the end of your career? Because you got lazy and didn't clip your hair?
Because my receding hairline. Look, it's
I do.
Jesus. You guys have good hairlines. Jeez, and I'm like 30, younger than you guys, but
it's the weather up here.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah.
It's all the sweating. Rugby law you would change?
Rugby law I'll change. TMOs.
Get rid.
If that's even a law, I don't know. If that's even a law, maybe just scrap them. I just feel TMOs are killing the game. They have too much. It's like the rugby league with the bunker they have here. I don't know if you've watched rugby league over here, but they call it the bunker. I just feel that if, like it was back in the days, if the ref gets it wrong, he gets it wrong. It's play on. That's like players. We get it wrong, right? I just think the TMO is having too much say, too much. Like on the weekend, we saw Argentina and Ireland. Yeah, the head knock, whatever it was with Kelly, and it was like 4 phases before that. It's just killing the game. I just think, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, but I don't care. TMOs need to come in at certain times, and that's it. Let the rest
music to my ears. Music to my ears.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's saying it though. You know what I mean? Like it's just, you know, when you watch
it becomes an industry in the end, though. I mean, it's like cricket. I mean, that's had a massive mission creep. Now everything gets checked. Yeah. All these things are brought in initially. They assure us it's just to deal with the terrible mistake, the game deciding mistake, and now everything gets checked. You can't lose for stuff getting checked. People get checked for you go to the TMO for knock-ons, piddly forward passes, this, that, everything else. It's
It's just gotta let it how it used to be. Like sometimes there's nothing actually wrong. I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. If the ref makes a call and we forget, and it's a bad call, oh well, we get on with it. I agree with you, Chris. I think the biggest thing is that it's killing the game, and I just think if we're trying to attract new watchers and people that watch the game that want to come and watch it, people will be like, hold on, who's reffing? The guy up there? Or because you got to get that human feel too, right? As a ref, like I'm sure there's been times where the ref's gone upstairs and he's like, fuck, why'd I do that? Because you get what I mean? Like it's
Well, it's more the TMO stepping in now. I think the refs are trying to involve the TMO less, but the TMOs have got so much power now. They're in their ear all the time. And it's not, I think there might have been a forward pass there. It's, I'm going to show you a forward pass. I'm going to show you foul play. Yeah. I'm going to show you a knock on. Let the referee decide,
Yeah. Look, I get it with foul play. I get that, right? Sweet. But when it comes from knock-ons and it comes to, like, just a little petty stuff, fuck me. Like, really? Do we need to be, you know what I mean? Like, it changes the moods of the game as well, I think. It swings the game. And it can because, one team could have all the momentum. All of a sudden, this TMO up there in Bay 8, row 19, is thinking, hey, this has happened. And it just changed the mood. It's like, wow. So, I think if there's one, I don't know if that's a law. So, Ollie, going back to your question.
I'm accepting that as an answer, absolutely.
Yeah, get rid of TMOs. So.
I think it's a popular one with the room, no doubt. Best thing about working in rugby, very finally.
Best thing about just having something in common with people, that love rugby. I think rugby, particularly over here, I live in Victoria now, in Melbourne. Rugby is non-existent. It's so east, it's more north. But the one thing I love is just stuff like this, having chats and talking to people, talking to guys like yourselves from across, on the outside of the world, and we all have something in common. And I think it's people, and you don't realize that as a player. It's not when you retire and then you think, hold on, you know, they're all good people. Like, it's just everyone just loves rugby. You know what I mean? But when you're a player, you don't really think about the things. You think everyone's having a go at you, or you think, oh, you know, this and that. But now that I'm on this side, I'm the biggest, you know, I guess critic, I guess so to say. But no, I love the fact that we can just, you know, break bread and have a chat about rugby. It's awesome. And
is there, Nemani? You know, the Rebels have obviously gone out of business in Victoria. Is there? I mean, I look at the way in which Aussie rules has spread in Australia. It used to be, you know, basically in Western Australia, South Australia, and mainly in Victoria back in the day. Now it seems to be nationwide, and rugby union's profile in Australia seems to have shrunk. Now, hopefully, the Wallabies, you know, hitting a streak of form now is going to put them back in the spotlight to a degree. But what's it? You know, when you talk about that camaraderie in rugby union and so on, is there still a vibrant club game in Victoria at sort of grassroots level, or is it really patchy?
Yeah. So, look, when I came back from Australia, when I came back from the UK to the Waratahs last year, even, and you know, we played down here in Melbourne, there was no one in the grandstands. Like, there was, you know, rugby in Victoria is non-existent. Just because AFL has a big stronghold, like AFL here, I think it's a national sport behind cricket. One of the two, anyway. They have their arguments and they have a sword fight. So who's got the biggest sword, if you know what I mean? But I just think Victoria AFL rugby here, no. Test matches, not a problem, because it's more of a, you know, a concept sort of thing. But I played some club rugby down here earlier this year. I played at 10. Crazy. Why are you guys laughing? Why are you guys all surprised?
I'm just thinking of the opposition 10 who turns up on a Saturday morning thinking, I know, he's going to be playing against some regular sized player.
Well, I tell you what, I was trying to play like a Northern Hemisphere. I was trying to play like George Ford, but didn't work out. I was kicking everything, playing areas, but in my mind, I was like doing kick, but it was because everyone here plays running rugby, right? You run the ball, no one kicks. So anyway, I played 10. That and because I was unfit and didn't, you know, let's face it, I'm not going to run 80 meters to score a try. Not that I ever did when I was a professional, but anyway, club rugby here is not the same as well. There's a big difference in, you know, there's a big level in compared to your Sydney competition, the Shoot Shield and up in Brisbane. So with the Rebels gone, it's made life a bit hard for rugby down here. And, you know, it's going to be hard for Melbourne to come out of this. You know, now they've scrapped the under-19s. There's no more 19s, Rebels under-19s. So a lot of these guys now are going to have to go up north. The schoolboys is different here. So the guys that play in the private school system, they don't play club. So when they finish playing schoolboys, some of them don't actually play. Or if they're competitive or if they're good enough, they'll go up to Queensland or up to Sydney. So, yeah, it is dying down here, and it's sad to see. But hopefully, with the Wallabies doing well, it's going to, you know, create some of that fanfare and bring guys back. I mean, you still have your rugby communities here. You still have guys that are into it, like myself. You know, we love rugby, but in terms of trying to bring in new, you know, new watchers, I guess, or new fans, it's going to be hard. And unless we win the World Cup, unless Australia wins the World Cup, you know, that's probably what's going to take. But until then, rugby league and AFL have the biggest stronghold here in Australia in terms of sport.
You should play 10 more often. That'll get them through the gates, I think.
Yeah, I think they left at half time when I was playing 10. So
if I'd been coaching against you that day, I'd have been really worried, because I'd have said to my players, it's not that you don't have the pace to run round them, you won't have the energy.
So that was my last year of playing. I'll never say never, but yeah, I played in the Josua Shield here, which is their main comp. We actually get this, the team I played for went to the semis. So we were last year, and then we got a few players in, and then we made it to the semis, and then, we got pumped in the semis. But, it was a successful year for our club, the Moorabbin Rams, and thanks to a few of us imports. So I won't say it's me, because I'll tell you what, I was playing on one leg, literally.
That's bigger than most people's two legs, though.
Fair enough. Yeah, there you go.
In terms of this weekend, I think we'll probably do a sort of quick preview of Fiji Island. One guy, like I said, I wanted to talk about was Caleb Muntz. Now, I think our feeling with Fiji and the names you said to us when you were talking about the tackling drills and things like that, the firepower has never been in question. The scrummaging has improved massively. I think what may have been missing was a general to Marshall. And I think in that game against Wales, there was every evidence, and there had been before the World Cup as well, before he got injured, that Caleb Muntz is that general. Do you agree?
100%. I think he's been the Nicky Little, Don't get me wrong, we had Ben Volvola in the past as well, but he's a different player, Caleb Muntz. He's attack. He's not afraid to have a go. His eyes, he plays eyes up rugby as well. He grew up in New Zealand. He's a Kiwi boy. But I just think now he's starting to realise who he's got outside him. So he's not having to do too much, if that makes sense. I mean, against Wales, he killed it because, the guys outside, you got to remember he had Weissneider level and Josh Tuisova. There's two of the most experienced sort of Pacific Island players, I'd say. But in terms of Caleb Clark, his kicking game has been refreshing for Fiji. I think when he got injured against England, was it last year before World Cup?
Yeah.
For me, I think that would have been the biggest difference between them losing to Wales last year. I think had they have
and the referee.
Let's not talk. Yeah, you saying it, not me. So happy days. But thanks for bringing that up, Chris. I think when he got injured, the biggest thing was that for me was like the difference. They could have went further, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then he's gone well. Actually, so I did some commentary in Fiji, and his recovery was pretty well. Like he was very professional in what he does. So his ACL obviously killed it with his rehab, and but to see him in the Fiji squad, there's another young kid called Ravula Armstrong. He's another kid that can play fullback. Look, he's a bit too small to be playing fullback. We still need a fullback there. I think once we get a good solid fullback that can kick, that can complement Muntz, I think this back line is going to be firing. But in terms of Caleb Muntz, I think he's been refreshing for Fiji rugby. And you don't feel as nervous going into games like these anymore because you've got a general, you know what I mean? You've got someone who can actually read the play as opposed to just running from everywhere, That's
the thing, that's exactly the thing, that he seems to me to be a number 10, which for all the wonderful talents you've had in Fijian rugby in that position, going back to Serevi and beyond, this guy understands how to play the game as it is rather than how he wishes it was.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean.
Yeah, no, and that's so true. Let the guys outside him have the X factor, because that's really ultimately in the backs. That's what we are, right? X factors. At our clubs, we're known for bringing X factors and creating something out of nothing. Now, in the Fiji, when you bring us all together, you need someone to create that in order for that X factor to happen, and he's that person.
Yeah, David Campese calls them enablers. He's an enabler.
Exactly. And there's nothing flashy about Caleb as well. There's nothing extra. Like, he does his job, but he does it well. And the more exposure he gets at the Fiji level, at the international level, the more damaging he's going to be at club level. But also, keep him injury free. He's going to be a long stay in that, in that jersey, that 10 jersey for Fiji. And the thing with us with Fiji, you got to remember, our tens comes in decades, right? So we had Nicky Little for about 30 years, and then we had Ben Volavola for about 30 years, metaphorically speaking. Now we've not only do we have Caleb Muntz, but we've got Armstrong Ravula, who can play 10 as well. He covered for him at Drua level at Super Rugby and played really well. And the best thing about these two guys, right, they can kick goals. One thing Fiji lacks, and any island nation lacks, Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, when it goes for 3, no one wants to go from wide because we don't have the confidence to go for goal. Now, at test level, when it comes from 3, 40, 45, 46 metres out, we're not afraid to do it. Now, that's where teams are going to be like, well, okay, hold on. They can not only can they attack from that far out, but now they're starting to kick, and I think that plays a big difference in the Fiji squad.
Do you have a feeling, Nemani, that had he been fit at the World Cup, when you look at how close that quarterfinal was with England, that he might have been able to swing it your way?
No doubt. I have no doubt. Look, when he got in, prior to him getting injured, I was calling that they were going to top the pool. Just because I knew what Australia was like here, obviously living here, and how they were going. I kind of, for me, if they could just get past Wales, which they just missed out, but with Caleb, if Caleb was there, I would have, I had no qualms about them not topping the pool, because he brings that, and not losing to Portugal. Do you get what I mean? He brings that settlement as well. Like when the tough going gets tough, and when it gets, with the thing with us, when Fiji plays, right? And I've been in that team. We can create stuff, but we can also create dramas with ourselves in terms of things that probably we shouldn't have thrown that pass, or we shouldn't have, kicked done a chip kick inside our 22. We've seen it. I know you guys have seen it, and it like sometimes you think, why? Yeah, we're the same. But with someone like him there, right? I've seen him like at ground level too when he's injured at Drua, when he's with the Drua. He's actually like in their ears and stuff. You get what I mean? So he's very vocal. But I just think
he sounds like a bit of a George Ford character, actually.
I was going to bring that up. That was my next point. Was that I feel that he's got a bit of George Ford about him. He's got that rugby IQ. I'm not saying that the other boys don't have it, but he's got that rugby IQ in the Fiji squad that they need.
Playing at 10.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's
where you want your rugby IQ, isn't it?
So when you see that game against Wales, right? Frank Lamani started doing box kicks, and they started getting the kick battles. I don't know if you've seen that. So when they come down, it was off 9, and they kept going. You've never seen that before with Fiji. We would just be running that, right? We'd be running. So just small things like that. Now it puts the teams that know us of how we play and say, "Oh, kick it," they're going to run it back. Now we're going to run back. Now my biggest thing now is we need a 15 that can complement that. And I think once we have that, Fiji's going to be dangerous. And I'm telling you now, I can see this team going a long way. Come the World Cup, because now we know Fiji Drua have a professional side. They're all professionals now. No one's playing club rugby and no one's playing second division.
Do you have a timeline, Worry? And by that I mean, has Caleb Muntz come 5 years or 3-4 years too late? Tuisova's 30, Nathalevu 35, Botia 35, Rudradra 32. Do they make it to 27? Because obviously, if they do, everyone's in trouble. But time waits for no man.
Yeah. Look, as much as I would love for those boys to come, I think at the same time you've got to bleed these young guys as well. Yeah. You've got to bring your new 12s. Like, look, I don't think Weiss will be there. I mean, he'll be 38, I think.
37, yeah.
Yeah, 37. It potentially could, but again, you don't want to put the pressure on them. And I think now with the Drua, in the past, Fiji players have played longer, purely because the talent probably wasn't there. But I think that's changing because now the Drua's there. There's so many people. There's guys on the island that are now exposed to professional rugby. So would I love them there? Yeah. Would I think it'd be best for them? Probably not. I just think there's other guys that are coming through that will be there. But again, the more time they play against Tier 1 nations, and you've probably heard this so many times. I think Rich Cockerell spoke about on the weekend. I think if these teams have those, then they'll be great. But then again, you got Drua, they got Super Rugby, so
yeah.
The thing is, with the Nations Championship or whatever they're calling it, assuming Fiji are part of that, and it's it still worries me that they don't confirm these other two sides. But anyway, let's take it that Fiji are going to be part of that. You as a single nation will have that exposure. But teams like everyone else who were in your position until recently, they're not going to get that exposure at all. I mean, teams like Georgia are going to get even fewer for top tier games.
Yeah, and why is that though? Is it like because I guess they're in Europe, right? Like I don't know too much.
Well, they're not in the Six Nations, and they won't get in the Six Nations because the Six Nations is privately run and it's a closed shop. End of story.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's no way in there any more than there's anyway. But the thing is, Fiji could really prosper because assuming you're part of that 12, you're going to be playing big time rugby all the time.
Surely Fiji should be in the rugby championship. I mean that these are the things that we're getting to. If Fiji become regularly a force.
Now the All Blacks and the Springboks are going to play a chunk of the season to themselves. But that's a whole other issue. It's something that drives me to distraction. This whole thing.
Do you think this, like the talk over here, Springboks are coming over to the Six Nations? Is that true? Is there any truth to that?
I don't see it. I don't.
No.
Did you see that happening though?
No, I don't think any.
No, me neither. I can't see it happening.
It gathered momentum. A couple of years ago, maybe there was actually genuine discussion about it, and it's to be running out of steam.
Publicly, like Chris said, it's a private. I mean, like it's. I don't think it'd be doing rugby any good if they came into it.
No,
I mean certainly for over here in Southern Hemisphere, but it just doesn't seem right. Doesn't feel right, does it?
It's just the absence of doorways. I mean, so if you're gonna bring in this new Nations Championship thing, okay, Fiji are one of the 12 teams. You've got to have a simultaneous competition for the second tier teams with promotion and relegation. Exactly. Then that makes it really interesting. Then, if you're just gonna put together another closed shop, I don't see where that takes us.
100%. I agree. I fully agree.
Completely agree.
Nemani, have you got any? One thing I wanted to ask you is, have you got any concerns? When you talk about the talent pool in Fiji and players coming through, with guys like Naya Salevu getting a little bit older and so on, you worried about the number of players that are picked off by, I know that the top 14 clubs have sort of, I believe, set up even their own academies in Fiji and so on and so forth to take players over to the top 14 and so on. You worried about that sort of talent drain?
No, not really. It's been happening for years. It's been happening for decades. I think, look, the best will stay in Fiji with the Fiji Drua. I'm not saying that, it's like anyway. I think sometimes you're going to lose. Some are going to, slip through the net. But I think with Fiji Rugby, with Fiji Drua there, that's going to help them keep the majority of the good ones. And with that player drain, like you were saying, it's going to happen. It's inevitable. Fiji's such a, we love rugby. Rugby's, a lot of players go every year, across. And look, I don't agree with the academies coming in and running their own thing. I think that's probably going to dry up as well now with the Fiji Drua there. Because, but the biggest thing I think is how these guys do it. They take them to schools, right? So New Zealand will come over and give them a scholarship, and they feed the education side of things, and which is good. But let's face it, you're not going over there to go to school. Let's face it, you're going to play rugby, right? So that's where that comes into play. And young kids who have nothing, they might just miss out on Drua, and then they'll go, or they might just go all together. So. Look, that's always going to happen, and it's been happening for years, and I don't think it's going to stop. But with the Fiji Drua there, it is sort of a bit of a plug in the sink sort of thing that is starting to slow that drain, because now they've got academies, and now the Drua are trying to send their best to schools overseas, so that when they develop and then they come back to the Drua development. So, there's ways around it, but I don't.
That's an interesting point you make about guys going to, being pulled into schools and given scholarships just on account of their rugby. I wonder why Billy Vunipola went to Harrow School.
Isn't that like a?
I just assumed it was Latin and Greek with him, but it's not, is it? It's.
But wait, isn't Harrow's where the prime ministers go and all the?
The prime ministers and Billy Vunipola.
And it ain't cheap, is it, to get into that school?
One day he'll struggle to fit into a prime minister's suit, but he can try.
Harrows. I didn't know he went to Harrows. That's very. Do they play rugby too? Yeah, well.
Yeah, I mean, Harrow told you.
Mako went to Millfield, which is the second most expensive school in the country, behind Harrow and Eton.
All right, so they went there for school.
Yeah.
I can't talk. All right, I went to a private school on scholarship, so my parents definitely couldn't afford 30,000 or however much it was. So I can't talk. But in saying that, that's why I say we didn't go to school for school. Let's say
no.
There would have been some schools interested in Thaithona Buka, wouldn't there?
Tell you what. Well, his son's coming up now. His son's one to watch out for. So yeah, he is rapid as well. So
that's very exciting.
He's one of the most astonishing things I've ever seen on a rugby field. That guy.
You should see his son. His son, I think he's 15, 16, and he's a sprint. He's quick. So it won't be long till.
Make sure Fiji cap him soon. Keep the others away.
Oh, yeah. Definitely going to keep him, especially that last name. We all know.
It's your right. Wow, that is very exciting.
That's good.
I do want to do some predictions for this weekend, but just very quickly, Nemani, I think talk about what the opportunity is against Ireland. Obviously, the biggest wins of the past 18 months have been that win against Wales, that win against Australia. Both of them, I suppose, had caveats in that Australia were obviously at a low at the World Cup. Wales are at a low now. You obviously lost to Portugal a couple of weeks later. Maybe that was a momentum killer slightly. But if you return home with scalps of Wales at home, Ireland at home, that all of a sudden really puts Fiji on the map for the next World Cup cycle.
Oh, 100%. I think, I think people keep forgetting that they've, they won the Pacific Nations Cup, but, it's not the Six Nations or whatnot. But Fiji have been performing well. I think they've been consistently, doing good, obviously, besides that Scotland game. But this Irish game, I think it's their last test match, the Fiji boys.
Now they got one more against Aussie.
Yeah, they'll play Australia the week after.
Yeah. So they have but Fiji's last. This is Fiji's last. Yeah. So, look, whether for me, if I was, I remember we played Ireland one time. Our mentality that week was just throw the kitchen sink. You know what I mean? Like, finish. It's going to be their last tour. They've done really well, for a tier 2 nation, so to speak. I think they've, and look, for me, Fiji just go out there, throw the kitchen sink. I think you can confidently say that too because you've got guys like Caleb Muntz there. And I don't think. Look, it's a hard game. I mean, Ireland aren't traveling. They're not at their best, from what we're used to seeing, right? But look, I've got a feeling they might not play their strong team against Ireland. I feel they might. Against Fiji. They did this twice before, where they sort of rested a few guys. But do they do that now because they're not traveling? As good as they'd like. So
I think you have to find your way through the first 20 minutes of that game.
Exactly.
That's the thing. I mean, Ireland are a very structured side, really. They understand their game plan, and they like to impose it. And if they impose it from the start, they got the capacity to start quickly. And I think Fiji playing catch up from a long distance is probably quite difficult in Dublin. But if you're in the game after 50 minutes, let's say, you're genuinely there, then really anything could happen then.
100%. And I agree with you on that one. I think the first 20, 30 minutes going to be vital. We see that, against Scotland, when they played Scotland, the game was over within 20 minutes. And this is the thing with Fiji. They can win or lose the game or be in the game within 20 minutes. It'll give you a gauge of how the game's going to be. So if they can just stick it to Ireland, right, keep the points pretty close. Well, what I'm saying, close, less than 8, and just keep playing the Fiji flair and playing the right places. Now that we've seen what Caleb's like, it could be an entertaining game for us spectators, you know what I mean? Like us guys watching. So I agree with you. First 20 minutes, you've got to hold them out. Ireland going to come out firing, as we see. They're very structured. They're probably one of the best structured nations in the world, I would say. They know, how deep to pass it. They know how long to pass it. They're that structured. Andy Farrell's got them well drilled. So particularly when they get into the opposition's 22, that's when they're very dangerous, and that's where Fiji can sort of be let down as well. So with their defense. So look, I'd imagine Ireland are going to put a kicking game on them. There'll be a kick game where they'll kick it deep because they're a smart enough team to nullify their sort of their weaknesses or where to go to. And I just feel that fullback spot is still where, they're going to kick it. And we've seen that against Wales where they'll kick it and we're running from everywhere. You can't do that against Ireland. You simply can't. So, I think Ireland's going to come out. And again, they haven't been performing well the last few weeks or to their standards that we're used to watching, right? So this might be a reset button for them where they'll be like, right, let's go. I just hope, like Chris said, first 20 minutes, they've just got to hang in there and just go with them. Don't be afraid to pull the shots.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting weekend, isn't it? I think it's a weekend of banana skins is probably harsh, but Wales are a banana skin South Africa. They're clear favourites in every game almost.
That breaks me, that game. I feel sorry for them. I genuinely do.
That's going to be painful to watch, most likely. As an aside, Wales are currently closer in ranking points to Switzerland than they are to the Springboks.
It's never easy against the Swiss, though.
Tidy side.
Yeah. The Swiss, they're pretty good, too.
Might be a close game, closer than Saturday. Is it Saturday? I think it is Saturday.
No one wants to go to Zurich.
Yeah. It'd be expensive as well.
Yeah.
Expensive.
Good point. I think what we'll do, let's run down I'll read the games out. So Friday night is France, Argentina. Then we've got Ireland, Fiji, Wales, South Africa, and Italy, New Zealand. Scotland, Australia is probably the hardest to call. And then England, Japan. So I think rather there are probably favourites on paper. Is anyone predicting any upsets, and if so, where?
I think Scotland have at least an even chance of getting past.
Yeah, I agree with Chris. Look, I think with the Wallabies and the Scottish are a decent team.
Yeah.
And I think they know how to, like, they're pretty well drilled as well. They've got it just depends who's playing 10 for them.
I don't think they've named it yet, but you assume it's Russell.
It'll be Russell.
Yeah, because obviously with the ruling, I don't know if they have to go back to their clubs or if they've still got one more week sort of thing. That window thing.
Yeah. No, they're all good.
If he's playing 10, yeah, it's which he most likely will. I said this on another rugby show. I just feel that if it's going to be a close game, it could go either way. And if it does, Scotland may get this bounce, and it could be like by 3 or 4 points.
Yeah.
I want the Wallabies to win, and I've said it before, but this is one game that I just worry the most. Every other game, I think, we all know the outcomes for that. Look, I'd love Fiji to win. We all know, I'm sure we all would love Fiji to win, but
I wouldn't say that Argentina-France is a foregone conclusion.
No.
I think Argentina probably should have beaten Ireland, actually.
Yeah.
And France, listen, fantastic occasion against New Zealand, but I didn't think they played brilliantly by their standards. I didn't think Dupont was brilliant by his standards. And I think that is a big banana skin because the Pumas don't give a damn about France. They love the French. They get tough every time. So I think that could be a hell of a match.
6-day
turnaround for France. So that's a little bit of a banana skin, that one.
Yeah, and they won a lot of that stuff against New Zealand on real emotion as well. And that's tiring. I think it's drag yourself up on a short turnaround from where they would have dug deep for that. I mean, well, it was obvious they dug very.
It was on adrenaline, wasn't it? They won that one.
Yeah.
That and the fact that B.A. Barry can
do 10-2
like a cheetah.
Semi Reese will be having nightmares about that for weeks.
Oh,
no, that was serious, Will. Look, I think that's probably a banana one that's harder to call. Scotland, Australia. I think Scotland go in as favourites personally.
Yeah.
I think if obviously Russell should play, I think Scotland have shown some good stuff this autumn, and I think Grand Slam talk for Australia is preemptive. Very much so. I think if they win this, obviously, then you can talk about it with the Ireland hurdle.
Yeah, exactly.
The Ireland hurdle already, they've got a massive hurdle this weekend to get over.
But I just think with this Scottish team, their captain Tuipulotu, he's a Melbourne boy. He's one that wasn't wanted here in Australia, so he's got a point to prove. He's been playing good as well. He's been playing consistently well over there.
Good player.
His brother's over there as well now playing for Glasgow, I think. So, I think they've got to be wary of him because when he's on point, the Scotland team is firing as well. So expect him to have a big game against the Wallabies. Dare I say, British Lions 23 in the 23.
I think he's got a chance.
Dare I say, like I said, I know there's debates going on. I've been on social media. Everyone's having a go, but he would. I'd like to think he'd be thereabouts. He's been playing well. Well, in the squad anyway. I'll leave you guys to pick that 23.
Well, I guess games like this against Scotland, against Australia, are going to be the testing ground for guys like Tuipulotu.
Yeah,
It'd be very interesting to see whether Suali is picked in the midfield to start for Australia in this game. Because, I'm not sure that Scotland. Scotland are one of those sides where, when the expectations on them, they very often don't come up with the goods. I think that they've had a bit of a mixed bag so far this autumn, and this is the acid test probably for both of these sides, because Australia have got that confidence going into it, but it won't be they won't crack Scotland's defence as easily as they did the Welsh, obviously.
And I think the biggest thing in there is, like Ollie said, the Grand Slam. Look, it's giving over here. It's giving everyone a bit of hope. That rugby, I guess things like this is what rugby needs in Australia. So to sell media, and that's good. That's awesome. And they're doing well. Don't get me wrong. But the Wallabies are actually, no one expected them to win. They've done that. Obviously beating Wales, but like Ollie said, look, if they get through this one, this would probably be the hardest game of the tour. I think. So then they get through that, then let's start talking. Grand Slam, but hey, dare to dream, and I'm all for. I sound like I'm against them, but I actually love the Wallabies, and I think that they've come a long way. They've still got a long way to go. There's something in the media today about Joe Schmidt retiring after next year.
Right, I hadn't seen that.
So I was on Twitter and on social media. Apparently, that's in Australian media that he's finishing after. He's planning to retire after the British Lions tour.
Right. That would be a borderline disaster if,
imagine they get Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Imagine they get Grand Slam and they win the British Lions, and he's like, adios.
I think there might be a rethink.
Yeah.
Well, they might chuck a few more quid at him, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, if the
they
man
can't be paying him as much as they were paying Eddie.
Yeah, but if the man doesn't want to be there, then what? Then Australia.
He has quite a lot of personal reasons for shaping the commitment. He feels, doesn't he? He has some sort of family reasons that take priority. So but I mean, he's done a job with them. I mean, just recently they have a confidence and a game understanding of what they're trying to do that they haven't had for quite a long time.
Yeah,
no, I agree. I fully agree.
Yeah, and with Karevi suspended, he may well come back in. Which would be, I think we were all surprised he was dropped after his, not dropped maybe, but put on the bench after his showing against England. But it'll be nice in a game like that. Guys, I think let's wrap up there. I think we've sort of previewed the weekend fairly comprehensively. It's the sort of the denouement of the autumn internationals, and then the last swan song the weekend afterwards, which we'll obviously preview next week. Nemani, so great having you. I'm sure it's your bedtime soon, so thanks for coming on late in the day in Melbourne.
Right, you can catch up on your sleep when England are playing. You'll be all right.
Well, it's Marcus Smith. He might not be playing, so if he's not playing, I'm not watching, guys.
There you go, Steve. Listening.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Great to hear from you.
Hey, it was great seeing you. Cheers.
All the best. See you, boys.
Thanks for listening to this week's edition of the Rugby Paper podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on whichever podcast platform you use and recommend the show to your friends. The Rugby Paper is available to buy every Sunday, and to make sure you don't miss it, subscribe through our print, digital and online options at therugbypaper.co.uk/subscriptions. That's therugbypaper.co.uk/subscriptions to get all our content for as little as 14p per day.